Hey everyone, here's the Bookchemist once again, and a few days ago I uploaded a video about postmodernist literature, an introduction to the many theories behind what is postmodernist literature, what it is or isn't, and people liked it, but lots of people also asked for fiction suggestions for good books you should read if you're interested in postmodernist literature, you don't know what it is, and you want to get into it, people are interested in gateways drugs into postmodernity. That's exactly what I'm going to offer you today. I'm going to offer you just a handful of titles, like 6 or 7, which I think are all good introductions into postmodernism. A few notes. All of these books are gonna look weird in one way or another. That is because I'm a bit of a genre Nazi, as I said in the other video, because I think that postmodernist literature, when you read it, you should understand it is postmodernism. To me, that's it's in the definition of the genre. If you're on the fence, if you're not sure is this postmodernist or not, it probably isn't, or at least it's not what I like to call hardcore postmodernism. These are all hardcore postmodernist books. Number 2, keep in mind that I'm not a huge expert, because number 1, my area of expertise, technically speaking, is postmodernist fiction, not really postmodernist. Different thing. Number 2, I'm still young. Number 3, many of the authors who were very famous in the heyday of postmodernism, like Richard Brautigan or Ronald Sukenik, nowadays are not so widely read and so widely known, and I still have to read most of their works, really. Finally, all of these books are going to be short. I hate it when you ask an introduction into that definite genre or whatever, if people suggest you 2,000-page books you are not going to read anytime soon. So all of these books are rather short, except for the first 2, which are Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie and 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, of course. Why am I suggesting not so short books? Because these, although they are 100% postmodernist texts, are also rather straight texts. These are both family sagas, which are incredibly enjoyable even if you don't like postmodernism, if you don't think you're interested in it, if you like your narrative straight with a beginning and an end. At the same time, they're rather crazy sometimes. They break the ontological boundaries between worlds in brilliant ways. They employ some of the techniques of postmodernism as described in the other video I filmed rather beautifully, and just like the other texts I'm going to suggest, the few texts I talked about in the other video, like Postmodernist Fiction by Mikhail or A Poetics of Postmodernism by Linda Atchion, refer to these books a lot. I'm talking especially of Postmodernist Fiction by Mikhail because it's the one I remember the most, most accurately, and because it's the one I like the most. Both of these books, as I said, are incredibly entertaining and rather easy. 100 Years of Solitude features many characters who share the same name, so you might want to take notes, but besides that, it's an incredibly enjoyable reading. Everyone should read them. These are really contemporary classics. Do read them. Now we're entering the realm of super uber hardcore postmodernism, mainly first one with Kurt Vonnegut, one of the quintessentially postmodern authors of the 20th century. Kurt Vonnegut is first and foremost, to me at least, a science fiction writer, and both the books I'm going to suggest, Slaughterhouse 5 and Breakfast of Champions, are science fiction books. Brian McHale, by the way, thinks that science fiction is the quintessentially postmodern genre because it breaks ontologies, it breaks the boundary between worlds in so many different ways, so many times, all the time, really. Just by existing, just by being about a different world, really, it breaks an ontological barrier. Of the 2, Breakfast of Champions is possibly the most flagrantly postmodern, also because it features all these silly/serious things that postmodernist does, like drawings or bits of silly poetry or pop songs here and there. But Slaughterhouse 5 is just as much postmodern, and in my opinion it's a much better novel. This is one of my favorite novels of all time. To me, this is a perfect book, 100% perfect. I would suggest you read this one over Breakfast of Champions. But both are great. If you want something even weirder, you might try If on a Winter's Night, a Traveler by Italo Calvino, which is postmodern as fuck. Some people think it is even masturbatorily postmodern in that, well, if you don't want your book spoiled, if you don't know anything about it, just read it. Skip 1 minute of the video. Anyway, if you want to know a thing about it, this is a book about reading books, and so on and so on. It's rather, like, I don't want to spoil you the fun, but if you're looking for a straight story, for something rewarding and entertaining, read this book. If you're looking for a book in which the story begins and continues and ends, this might not be the best book for you, even though, rest assured, this book has an ending, and even a rather satisfying one to me. Why shouldn't you read this book? Read the book, it's fucking Calvino, it's a genius. If you're into more challenging stuff English majors would read, do read The Crying of Lot 49 by Thomas Pynchon. Not exactly his most accessible book, but definitely his shortest and his most accessible among his first ones, the quintessentially postmodern ones. These, by many people I've met, as being called the greatest detective story of all times, but don't expect to get too many like solutions in the standard Agatha Christie, Philip Marlowe, which is of course Raymond Chandler kind of way. This book captures postmodern life, pop culture, the feeling of paranoia that living in the postmodern world creates in the reader beautifully. It's 100% Thomas Pynchon. It's very crazy, it's also hilarious. It's another book you should read all of these books, really. If you're watching this video, you're interested in books, do read this. These are not too long and they will stay with you forever. And finally, I'm going to suggest a few more books, and I'm going to actually break the pretty much only rule I had set in this video. These books are not postmodern in a fastidious way, meaning that they are not the kind of book when you read them you realize you are reading a book which is not like any other book you've ever read. These are actual stories. They are like rather straight stories, even though some of these are also quintessentially postmodern in a way. I'm especially referring to the first two, which are by possibly the best postmodern writer of all times, after Pynchon, including Pynchon, Don DeLillo. I'm talking about White Noise and Libra. White Noise, I suggest you read it if you're more into family narratives, if you're more into straight literary fiction. It shows the way postmodern families work, the way entertainment changes our life. And whereas Libra is a much more thrilling tale about the assassination of Kennedy, which to many people is the starting point of postmodernity. There's a beautiful reflection in this book about how the dossier on the assassination of Kennedy looks like the book James Joyce would have written had he lived in Idaho, or anyway in America, and lived to be like 100 years old. It like creates beautiful parallels between postmodernity as a literary cultural concept and the actual reality we are living in. It's one of those books that makes you understand that all these books are not just about fantasies of their authors, they're about the real world. The last two are genre books, are science fiction books, because again, science fiction is the quintessentially postmodern genre. Ubik by Philip K. Dick, which features amazing reflections on shift between ontologies, on what happens when you die, on what reality am I inhabiting. It's a bit like The Matrix, but less entertaining, maybe cleverer, whereas the last one is one of my favorite books of all time, What Mad Universe by Frederick Brown. This is proto-postmodernism to be, because it's a reflection on popular culture. This is my washing machine, I don't know if you hear it, there's a jingle. Anyway, a reflection on popular culture as a self-conscious mean of entertainment, while at the same time being straight up popular culture. If you don't like this book because you find it too crazy, steer away from any kind of postmodernism or modernism and stick to really Jane Austen and George Eliot. There's nothing wrong with it. I love both authors a lot, but these kind of books are not for you. But I'm sure you will love it because it's a fucking masterpiece. Oh, it also fell to the floor. Anyway, these are my suggestions, my gateway drugs, as I said, into postmodernism. All of these books are awesome. If you're undecided about which one should I read, read If on a Winter's Night a Traveler, and also read Slaughterhouse 5. Those two. Let me know what you think about these books after you read them, if you've never read them, like right now, if you have already read them. Let me know what books you think will be good introductions into postmodernism, but please don't suggest Gravity's Rainbow, because who the fuck is going to read Gravity's Rainbow if they don't know postmodernism? Let me know what you think about this video. Let me know whatever passed through your mind. I will see you in the next one. Bye guys, happy 2016 if this comes out before New Year's Eve. Boy am I tired.